This is my entire home studio on one desk, meaning I can record videos, join Zoom meetings, run webinars without any change in the setup here, without bringing in extra light stands or messy cables down the back there. And the best bit, I can even stand up to record as well. And in this video, I'm going to show you the gear that I'm using and exactly how to put it all together. So let's get started by taking a look at the desk this is all going to be built on. Now I use the sit-stand desk because I enjoy having the option to be able to stand and work. But I've always avoided clamping things to my desk because any slight movement on the desk comes through the camera, making the footage unusable. Which is why when FlexiSpot reached out and offered to send me this new desk, I gladly accepted. This is the E7 Plus from FlexiSpot with a black walnut desktop. And I love this thing because just look at how sturdy it is. It's got 4 legs rather than the usual 2 on a sit-stand desk. And that just makes this thing unshakable even when standing. I mean, look at the difference when we mount a camera to this desk and my previous one. It can hold up to 200 kilograms, which is way more than the equipment that we'll mount to it. And it can adjust between 66 centimeters and 131. But I'm 6 foot tall, and I find that for me to be able to work at this desk, 115 centimeters is pretty much the perfect height. Plus with the keypad, you can save up to 4 different heights into the memory, making changing between them consistent and easy. If you're interested in getting one of these yourself, there's a link in the description. So let's start putting this together then. What are we going to be putting onto this desk studio? We're going to need a camera, a light, and a microphone. And then I've put on here as well, we're going to look at some optional extras at the end. So I'm going to be using my computer on here. Now I've gone ahead and I've put a cable management tray in here as well. This is the one that FlexiSpot sent through that fits perfectly under there. And then I've got a power bank under there as well that I've just stuck up underneath the desk. So we're just going to have one cable coming off at the end of this, which is just how I want it. So let's get started and put the camera in place first of all. I'm just going to be using this is actually a monitor clamp. Really impressed at how solid and secure this thing is. Then we're going to be using a super clamp. We'll fine tune the heights and things when we get to the end. This little solid arm. Again, everything I'm trying to add here is making sure it's super secure. We've had flexible arms in the past, but they can bounce a bit. This thing, look, there's no movement in this. That's awesome. Then I'm going to use this Manfrotto 3-way head. I'll put all the details in the description actually. We'll put you a kit list together for all this setup that we've got here. So you'll be able to get that if you want to. The MH804. But then that's going to go on here. I love these 3-way. With a ball head, everything kind of flops. You're trying to get it positioned correctly. With these, I can work one axis at a time. Okay, and then I'm going to line that up. Something like that. Now, I'm choosing the Sony ZV-E10. I've been using this thing for a few years now. It's an incredible camera for the price. And in this setup, I'm going to be using the Sigma 16mm lens as well. I kind of cut between a 23, 24mm Viltrox and this one. And because I want to be able to catch some of the desk in the shot of this, we're going to go for this wider angle one. So that just slots onto the top of here on a quick release plate. And as I say, I can adjust this how I want. And in order to do that, I really recommend one of these little spirit levels that goes into the cold shoe on the top. And it just means that I can dial this in. Now we've got to have a look through it first and see where I'm going to be sitting or standing. That's obviously the beauty of this is I want to dial this in so when I'm sitting at it, it works. And when I press a button and come back up, everything is just moving and able to come up and down with me. Now I'm going to be using a mains power supply for this as well. You definitely don't want to be running off batteries. So we pop that in there. It's the first item going in and feeding this through. Turn it on and there we go. Now I'm actually going to bring this one back slightly so that I can get a little bit more distance and a chance of seeing this desk. And I'm leveling this up. To start with, I'm going to go with eye level. This is just catching the desk, so actually that is seeming pretty perfect. I'll tilt it around a little bit. I want to go to the edge of that panel. Now I'm going to fine tune this one. I've got this down at a sitting height and then at a standing height. Let's put the rest of the tools in first. Okay, the next thing we're going to be putting onto this desk is our light, and several options for this really. You absolutely could, and I've used it here, put in a cob light up here with a softbox on the front of it. There is room to be able to do this and fit it all in, but I'm loving this Amaran light. This is the Verge Max. Big fan of the Amaran range anyway. That's all we use for our lighting these days. But just look how thin that is to be able to create a softbox effect as thin as this. I think when we're mounting it to a desk and potentially wanting to be up against a wall, we haven't got stands and tripods, it makes a lot of sense to go for this as a light. So before we put the actual light on, we need to put this stand together. This all comes with it. Now I'm going around, because I've got this cable management tray running underneath here, I'm coming around to the side to clamp this on. And I have checked, and it does just about miss the roof when it's up at full height. Well, I tried putting the camera on this as well, so I've got the light on here, I've got the camera on here, but it's just not as strong as what this monitor one seems to be. So it's perfect for what we're doing for the light, not so much for adding a camera to it as well. But then this slots on from the top, and again we will fine tune and put this in place afterwards. But all we do with the light is to just slot this in and it's in place. How slick is that? I actually think let's bring this a little bit higher. It's a little bit too close to the camera height, but again, we can adjust all this afterwards. But how clever is that, and how great a design. Simple USB-C power supply. That's going to be our second item under the desk. And there it is. So I do have controls on the front. We can adjust the brightness and the color temperature. Display on the front, so very easy to work with, but it's Amaran, so that means we've got an app for that, and as you'll see in a bit, I'm going to be feeding that into a Stream Deck. I'll turn that off for now. So that's our camera and our light installed. Other than some fine tuning, let's bring in our microphone next. So microphones, we're going to be using the Shure MV7 Plus. I love this microphone. I love the simplicity of it. We're actually going to connect this over USB, and I honestly think that we can match the sound of a lot of XLR microphones with it. And again, we've gone through different ways of using this. I've had it on a low profile arm that comes in. I really like this look of just keeping it here on the desk in front of me. So this is a little base that could potentially have an extension on it, but we're going to thread right into the base of it. So it sits as low as this in front of me on camera, not at all in my way, and my arms can come around it very comfortably. And actually I've found this little mouse mat that I think just helps to deaden a bit of that desk noise of me potentially banging on here. So all we're going to do is connect this in with USB. So it's USB-C both ends. And I'm going to connect this straight into the side of my laptop for the moment, and we'll sort our cables out in a minute. But there it is, microphone's on. So that's the mic in place. My light, I'm going to bring a little bit closer in now. I'm just thinking we're going to start tweaking this a bit now and getting things set as we want them. Light can come in, let's see, maybe there. And cameras slightly clipping my head. What I want to do actually is push the camera back a little. I feel it's a little bit too close to me right now. And so I'm just going to pivot that arm back. I'm just now getting the desk, so I'm liking this. And as I'm sitting about right in the frame, could come a fraction lower, but I'm about on the edges where I want this to be. So camera's set in place. Light, let's turn this on. Now I've still got room lights on while we're recording this. I'll turn all that down when we get to the end. So with its most basic setup, we could record videos from this setup now, and I could be just pressing record on the camera, pressing record and some software in here to record the audio, and we would be good to go. We want to be able to have a setup here that I can do live streaming from, do my Zoom calls from, and I want to be able to control everything from recording with camera and audio going into my computer and work it all from there. So this kind of brings us into our next stage. We're going to just level this up a bit now and bring in some accessories and things that really set this out as a workstation that I can work at every day. So let's do that. So in order to get the feed coming out of the camera into our computer, we're going to use a cam link. Quite straightforward. Takes a HDMI feed out of the camera converts it into USB and we'll plug it in. But in order to do that, and you know, I don't want all these things attached to my laptop. I can't stand seeing all these cables on the desk. And so I'm going to be using this CalDigit TS3 Plus. And all we're going to see on the desk is this one cable, and then this is going to do all the work for us down there in that little cable management tray. So everything we're just going to feed down there, and it's going to plug into this. So I'll go and install this, and I'll bring in the monitor as well that I want to be able to put on my desk and sit in here. Let's bring it all in together and then we'll have a look at it. So let's power up this CalDigit first of all, and one at a time we'll bring these cables in. Microphone, monitor, and the power lead, and then that's a USB so that this can, the monitor also works as a dock then for USB items. So all of those can get tucked up into there. This one I'll come back to. In fact, this can even sit under here as well. We can put the CalDigit underneath. Look at that. So the only cable coming up onto the desk. And in fact, I will be probably moving my laptop if it will take it and sit it there under the camera. So that's going to come in that way. So now I've got a monitor, light, camera. Now what we haven't done is to connect up the cam link from the camera. So let's just spin this around, show you what we're doing. So that's a HDMI cable coming out of this and running into the back. I hate cables. I love that I can hide them all like this. Now I'm also going to be using a prompter on the front of this. I love being able to look not only at scripts and things through this, but you know, it kind of hides the lens completely. You don't feel like you're looking into a lens anymore. I can put my Zoom calls and things straight up onto this. It's a great bit of kit. So that just slots onto the front of my lens. We are going to need to adjust heights and things. That again, USB cable straight into the back of here. And I think that's about it. One last essential for me is my Stream Deck. And so because my monitor serves as an extra dock, I can plug that in underneath there and that'll come to life. Let's just pull this out of the way for a minute. So I got some adjusting to do on heights and things and positioning. And now let's see if we can get this feed to come through. So here we go. Using Ecamm Live, I can bring this in and I can see my audio on here. I get my levels coming in from my microphone. So when that's in place, I can see that. I can see where I'm positioned on camera and I'm able to hit record and go. Now actually that's not too far off there, but where are we going? Let's just think. That laptop sits there fairly well underneath. I want to move it all around a little bit. Oh, actually it's loose enough to do from there. So that will position. I think I can take this monitor a bit further back. Microphone can either come in at the side of me here, or as I say, I do like to have it front. The fact that you can't even see this laptop here is excellent. So I can be working here and I could be looking through this lens. I could have my Zoom meetings or a script sitting up in front of me, and here I am with my incredible little workstation all sitting in on my desk. One of the reasons I love this Stream Deck is I can control all my lights from here. So we can turn all of these off if we want to. I can bring them back on again. I've got my other lamps all connected in, so they're going to come in on a button on here. I just think that is such a great way to work. And I think, you know, as a workstation, I could work here all day, every day. Now we haven't tried standing yet. Let's just see. We need to find a height that is going to work, but let's take it up to where I'd wanted this. Make sure that we don't hit the ceiling. That's getting close. So, and here I am. So I can actually stand here then. So nothing changes, obviously. You know, the light, the camera, the microphone, my workstation stays exactly where I wanted it to be. All that's happened is I'm now able to continue, and I do like 2-hour masterclass sessions and things, and to be able to run this and, you know, be okay to step up halfway through it, or just to be able to work in the day, I really love this setup. Now, obviously, if you wanted to push the laptop to the side or bring in a second monitor, have a mouse, keyboard, all of these things, you can absolutely do that. But how slick is that we're running off of a desk like this And not only have we just done a basic camera and mic, this is a complete workstation that we've got here. I've got everything that I need on the desk in front of me. I think that is an awesome little setup. Now I've mentioned the prompter, the CalDigit that's hidden back there, and the Stream Deck here. They're actually 3 out of the 5 home studio upgrades that I can't live without, and we go into more detail about those and 2 more in this next video.